Welcome to Stories of Hope. This is a podcast by the Dream Center.
Where you will hear from people who have stories that once seemed hopeless.
People whose stories of redemption and life transformation are so powerful, they can only be possible by the power of Jesus. All right, everybody, welcome back to Stories of Hope. Obviously, as you can see, if you're watching on YouTube, the setting is very different for tonight. We actually just wrapped up our Dream Big event, which is our biggest fundraiser of the year. And so we thought it'd be fun to try to get some podcast in immediately after the action. So I'm with Sarah and Chris Wilson, who's been on the podcast before. And if you know the Dream Center, she's our executive director. Yeah, it was an awesome night. Super great.
It was. I'm blown away.
Yeah, we, this is our 12th Dream Big? 11th?
Actually,
no, it's not.
No, we've been in existence for 11 years, yes. But I think this is our fifth
Dream Big.
Mm-hmm.
Very cool. And at least out of the three that I've been to, this one felt super different than all the rest. Not as far as like we did anything crazy different, but one, it felt like we had a ton more people here. It felt like to me, and also like the presence of the Lord was also super evident as soon as we got here this afternoon, which is really, really cool. And I also just felt that like people were super excited about the event as a whole this year, just a little bit different than normal. I don't know if you felt anything like that.
I did feel like it was different, and I couldn't put my finger on it entirely, but I do know that we intentionally wanted to elevate Jesus.
Yeah.
And we wanted to not shy away from making him the center of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I think at times when you have a fundraiser, the temptation can be not to do that because, you know, there's donors and there's people that have different backgrounds. But the reason we're here is because of him. Mm-hmm. And that's something that we wanted to bring to the center. And we did that. Yeah. And I think he honors that.
We also had a really cool opportunity to like elevate our production, I guess, as a whole this year. Chris has given me and Sarah and Smike, who you don't see that often, but he's helping us with all the shooting. We got to put together a bunch of really cool content and shoot a bunch of stories this year. Mm-hmm. Even though there was no audio, I got a ton of texts during the event from like Chasen and my parents. They're a little biased, but just like saying how everything looked extremely like suited and put together and everything looked the same, and also that like the videos ended up telling a lot of the story as people were sharing, and so that was a really cool aspect, I thought. And we also had a ton of just really powerful testimony both through our staff and through a lot of our volunteers that I thought was really cool. One of them, Martha Hughes, she is from our Pickens store, and she got to share a ton. I'll let you kind of share a little bit more about like that story as a whole.
Well, the cool thing, Martha Hughes has been a volunteer since we started our Dream Center resale stores. Yeah. So from the very beginning, she's been a volunteer in the Pickens resale store, and she told such a touching story about how she ministers to people in the resale store. But the coolest part of it at the end, I think, where she really got everybody, is when she mentioned that her own niece had called the Dream Center for help and is now a resident in the Opportunity Village, and she's waiting for that story to unfold. And so that's, you know, a story that's still being written, and her niece is doing very well. But what I loved about what she said was, she said this entire time I was volunteering, I was doing it for people I didn't know. But man, one day you might be doing it for somebody you really love. Yeah, right. So that's somebody's daughter and somebody's niece. Sure. And so it's just, that's true. Yeah. You know, it hits home for a lot of people, and really all of us at some point are going to be touched by needs like that. Yeah. That was something really exciting to watch unfold and be. We can edit this out if you don't want me to put this in here, but we also announced that we are looking to expand our resale stores, and so Martha getting to be a part of that storytelling. Also, if you want to go give to the resale store expansion, we will put the link in the bio for where you can give it on our website. But as we look to continue to grow this ministry, and it was a cool moment for me tonight, even though I see it every day, to listening to Martha tell her story and then mention her niece
and then for Tanya to be talking about how 82% of our funding as an organization comes from the stores. It like all clicked for me tonight in one moment of like, oh my gosh, the stores as a whole, how important they are and how much frontline of our ministry they actually carry.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
like it just was like it hit me tonight. I was like, holy,
it's huge. It's huge. And to operate debt free and without any government funding is unheard of for a lot of organizations. And the only way we're able to do that is through the resale stores.
Yeah,
and the only way we can expand services is to open another store.
Yeah.
So our plan is, and our prayer is, to open another store next year in Anderson, South Carolina. So if the funding comes in, that's what exactly we'll do.
Again, you can give on our website. So
yeah. If you live in Anderson, you really should.
Yes, absolutely. I love Anderson.
Because not only do we want to bring a resale store, we want to bring our programs so that we can help people. Anderson has great needs. They have wonderful organizations in Anderson that would love to collaborate with us, and we can help support those needs with classes, crisis intervention. And so we don't just come with a store, we come with support for the community.
Yeah, and that was cool too. That was like one of the most like crowd interaction was when we mentioned Anderson. We got a whole bunch of like whoop, like a whole bunch of hoots and hollers and
I got a couple people coming up to me saying I can help you get in Anderson.
Yeah, that's amazing.
So there were a lot of Anderson people here.
Really excited.
So speaking of crowd participation, Victoria, her story got a whole standing ovation.
She was shocked. She said, like, I didn't know what to do. She said, they literally stood up for me.
That was beautiful. So I got to stand over in the corner behind her daughter, Ella. And so Ella didn't know I was standing behind her at first. I'm like watching Ella. She's looking up at her mom, and I go and tap her back. She turned around, gave me the biggest smile. She goes, can I hug you? And I said, yes, Ella. And she's just like watching her mom. It was just so sweet of like, seeing where they came from and their story. And, I've had a pretty good relationship with Ella for the past year and a half now.
Yeah.
It was just really beautiful just to watch her mom. How big of a testimony that is for Ella, like seeing where her mom came from, the situation, and now she's on stage in front of however many people were here tonight. It was beautiful.
I think about, Ella is going to grow up and be a grown adult, and she's going to remember that this was a time in her life when her mom, experienced the opportunity to tell her testimony in front of all these people and get a standing ovation.
Yeah.
So,
and she did a great job.
Yeah.
We need to have her on the podcast. I don't know how we haven't asked her to be on this yet.
I know.
Who, Victoria?
Victoria, yeah.
She would do a really good job.
She would do a great job. And then also, like, we got to, she was talking about this. She was talking to me about the Christmas ornaments on the table. Some of them were left behind.
Well, we want them back.
She dropped them right here.
Okay, good.
We'll edit that part out. That's amazing.
They're not available.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
Blooper reel. But
Is there anything else left behind? Like a check?
Right. I think they got all the envelopes.
I sure hope so.
That's so funny. We also got the really cool opportunity to do kind of like a big ask at the end, which is pretty not normal for us. We took a lot of big steps this year as far as the night feeling different. And I know that like that was something that our team talked about a bunch before leading up to it. One of the things we asked for is all the women in the program need vehicles for when they finish core, and we got at least one hand raised, which was awesome. Was there anything that you were thinking during that time, or like even prepping for that you were just like, I know you were a little nervous about the hand raise, but
I'm not good at asking. Even though I can ask for the Dream Center more than anything else in my life because I believe in it so much. But I'm always like, well, I want the Lord to tell them to give, not me. And it's, wimping out. So I was glad to have someone else do the ask. But what I do know is that God has provided a car for every single woman for the last 7 years.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I've never asked one time.
Yeah.
So other than in prayer.
Yeah.
So I am believing that He is going to give them those vehicles to be able to earn regardless of whether we get it tonight or when, because we have prayed about it every single time and He always comes through. So, but it's kind of surreal on this end of the fundraiser because you don't know what other people's perception of it is.
Right.
Yeah.
And you get to the end of it and you're thinking that we gave our best, but you have no idea what. And so I had multiple people come up and say, that's the best one y'all have ever done. I'm like, really? I mean,
Yeah.
you don't know from this side of it. You're just doing it.
Yeah.
And so I was praying that it would be a good experience. My biggest goal is that if somebody comes to this fundraiser, that they're glad they came.
Right.
You know, that they don't think, man, I wish I would have stayed home.
Yeah.
I want them to be like, this was the best decision I made this week to come on a Tuesday night
Right.
to learn about the Dream Center.
Yeah.
And I think we accomplished that.
I think so too. And one thing that really encouraged me is I had a few people say like, y'all's transitions were so good, everything was so, and so I just want to like honor you. And I got to.
We did have a little funny story.
Yeah.
Me and Tracy Sweeney. Okay.
Oh boy.
So we had this script that we were both following that we left out on the podium.
Yep.
Okay. So, I mean, I've looked at it a lot. I felt like I had it for the most part of the transitions memorized. Well, at one point, we realized that we didn't know. He and I are both sitting in the chair, and Victoria was talking.
Yep.
And I didn't know what was next. So I said, Tracy, I don't know if I'm supposed to go up next or if you're supposed to go up next. And he said, well, I don't know either. And I said, well, what should we do? I don't know what to do. So then I said, I think it's you. I think it's you, Tracy. You need to go up next. And then he's like, okay, I'll go. And then I was like, no, Tracy, I think it's me. And then he's like, maybe we should go both go up. And I'm like, so the whole time Victoria's talking, we're trying to get a plan together. Like, what do we do? So this is what we said. I said, you know what? As soon as she stops talking, I'll jump up and just run up to hug her, and I will look and see who's next.
Brilliant.
And then I'll go sit down. Okay? So we got up, and, well, then it was a standing ovation.
Yeah.
So while everybody's standing ovation,
Perfect.
I'm like looking through the thing, and I saw that it was me. And he came up, and he's like standing over, giving her a high five and all that. And I said, it's me. And he's like, got it. So then later, we were sitting there, and he said, that was awesome. Nobody knew that we didn't know.
No,
I didn't
I had
even
no
know.
idea. No idea.
Now,
we had no idea.
Had Tracy started talking right there, I would have been like,
I know.
You're supposed to be Chris. What are we doing?
Yeah.
But
I said, Tracy. And then I said, after I spoke, I brought it back with me.
Yeah.
I said, look what I brought it back with me.
Yep.
Now we're not going to forget. So.
Yeah. It was great.
Wow.
But just to honor you of like how much you put
I
into the
appreciate
script.
that.
And,
I put a lot into
Yeah,
the
we sat
script.
together.
So much.
We sat together like every day this last like 7 days of like, this is what we got to do.
Can we look at it
It's
again,
gotta be-
Brady?
Yeah,
He's like,
right.
okay, let's do it
Right.
again.
So I just want to wrap this up. I don't want
Yeah.
this to be too long, but also hopefully you can hear us. I don't know if all these dishes are too loud, but like just to honor our whole staff and our whole team, like everything went so smooth.
Everybody worked together.
Yes.
And that's what someone told me. They said you could just tell that everybody just worked together, and that's why it was the transitions and everything went well, because everybody was doing what they were supposed to do. So I really appreciate all your hard work, everybody on the committee's hard work. I mean, it took a lot of people.
Yeah, it's cool to see how the Lord is moving inside of our staff, even just through like a simple like pulling off an event. But it's also just like I'm just thankful that I know that everybody is just so in tune with the Lord right now as a whole.
Right.
And
if we can have bag sales in the middle of planning Dream Big,
yeah, it's just crazy.
I mean, you've been going to a bag sale every Saturday.
Yeah.
So that was unheard of for us to do that in the past.
Bag
we wouldn't be
sale,
able to do that.
Giant serve days, like this week is crazy for us as a whole.
So
right.
much.
And I mean, I can tell you, we would have never been able to do that in the past.
Yeah.
And now it's like nothing lets up. We just do everything plus we do Dream Big, but the bag sales sustain all of our ministries. So it's a beautiful thing to see. So who knows? We got to think about next year now.
Oh, we
We've
literally
already got
have a
ideas.
folder
We
made.
do. We have a Dream
folder
Big
made.
2024.
So we're ready to go.
You know what's so cool is it would be really neat if Martha could come back up here with her niece
Yeah.
Oh, I love that. I got
and
chills.
finish
man.
their story
man.
next year.
That would be great.
So that's
Wow.
what we need to be praying for. It's a long road.
Long road.
We need to be praying that happens.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Because it is a long road, but I'm believing it will happen.
Yeah.
No, absolutely.
So, and I know Martha would be excited.
Yeah, very cool. So, well, we won't stay here any later than we have to. We've been here all day. So, thanks for tuning in this week, and we'll see you guys on the podcast next episode.